Hi, everyone. My name's Desiree Smith, or Dr. Desiree Smith. I am the program manager here at Black Health and for the CARES program. Today, of course, is our virtual information session. And with that being said, we can jump right on into it. And then if you're slow to join or if you don't watch the slide, this will be recorded if you have to leave at any time. So just to give an overview of our agenda today, of course, welcoming you all, talking a bit more about the CARES program, our program structure, our program benefits as well, the application process, and of course, we would love to hear from you all about any questions that you might have about the program or applying for the program, and then of course, closing out with some more information. So to get started, about Black Health, which is the wonderful organization that has created this program, Black Health is, of course, a Black-led 501(c) nonprofit organization. It was founded in Atlanta by Khadijah, Matthew, Marcella, and Paula. Their focus, of course, is on advancing health equity in Black communities through an anti-racist education, advocacy, research, and programs such as this one. Here at Black Health, we recognize that racism, not race, is at the root of poor health outcomes for Black people. And then, of course, that leads us into the creation of this inaugural program called Black Health Cares, CARES being Community Advocacy for a Racial Equity School. This program is a groundbreaking hybrid program, meaning we'll have 2 in-person sessions and then 6 virtual sessions, which we'll discuss a little bit more later, that are designed to train the next generation of health equity advocates, such as yourselves, through a combination, as I said, through virtual learning, but of course, as well, community-based projects. You can expect as a fellow that you'll gain knowledge, skills, and really real-world experience that extends outside the classroom in order for you to become or continue to be powerful advocates for health equity in your community. So some of our program objectives, and of course, there's more than just what we have listed here, but top priorities for our program is that by the end of the program, you'll be able to explain how structural racism and other intersecting forms of oppression operate to drive complex racial health inequities within our local communities, as well as be able to describe what anti-racism is and how an anti-racism practice, for instance, the iterative process of combining theory, experimental knowledge, science, and action to actively counter inequities. So not just learning about what something is theoretically in class, but being able to apply that praxis and adapting as your own so that we can advance real health equity amongst our communities here in Atlanta. And then also by the end of the program, you all should be able to identify avenues to apply anti-racism strategies and become health justice advocates for systematic change. So now I, of course, want to talk a little bit more about the program structure that I mentioned before. So as I've kind of already gotten questions about this, we do have set dates for our program, especially as it regards to our in-person half-day sessions. So for our opening session, it will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Atlanta. That's why we ask that everyone be Atlanta-based and at an Atlanta-based institution because we're really looking to have an impact on Atlanta communities. And then we'll also be having a closing session Saturday, November 2nd. We strategically chose those dates to start before the semester, but also as well before finals as our closing session for our program. And so in between those, of course, you'll have the kickoff session where you get to meet your cohort members, bond, network in person, but then we'll lead into like more virtual sessions. And so those are from 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. So for instance, August 20th, September 3rd, September 17th, October 1st, the 15th, and the 22nd. And then as I mentioned before, November 2nd would be our closeout. And then just a bit more about what our logistics looks like. We'll, of course, like I said, have interactive sessions. So we'll be having guest speakers or subject matter experts provide information, but also allow you to be able to interact with the speaker and do activities in session for the virtual sessions and in the in-person opening and closing session. As well, we're working with community partner organizations so that you all can be able to do community immersion activities with Atlanta-based organizations. And so when we're talking about time commitment, I know that's really important for students and postdocs. We're looking at about 1 to 2 hours per week for readings, assignments, and project work. But as we'll talk about later, a passion for health equity, you probably spend way more time already through your studies and just everyday life, committing your time to that type of things is when it comes to health and racial equity. And then, of course, we want to talk about benefits. So like I said before, you should be able to gain, or our objective is for you all to be able to gain in-depth racial equity knowledge. So this looks like understanding the root causes of racial health inequities, including structural racism and social determinants of health. Because as we said before, we see racism, not race, as the root cause of negative health outcomes. And then, of course, really important to us is that you gain practical skills, especially ones that you're not always able to adapt and learn about in school on traditional schooling. So that looks like community organizing, policy advocacy, and program planning skills, such as the ones I use for this program management of this program. And then also, we have hands-on experience and mentorship. So through the selected partners and our subject matter experts and those that will be lecturing for our virtual sessions and in-person opening and closing sessions, you will be able to develop and implement a health equity project with local organizations, as well as receive guidance from experienced SMEs and community health leaders, so that you'll have a more, bigger network of people who are just as passionate, if not more, so that iron can sharpen iron about health and racial equity. And then as well, like I said before, professional networked to not only connect with your peers here in the cohort, but of those that you meet throughout the program and partners and those associated partners that are just as committed and dedicated to racial justice and health. And then, of course, as a nicety, there is career advancement options as you're able to gain a competitive edge and leadership experience in healthcare, public health, and other related fields such as social work. You might have seen quite a few things being published or programs around health equity or maybe health and racial equity. But as we focus on both, you'll be able to really distinguish yourself amongst your peers by not only learning theory, but being able to learn how to enable a praxis in your local community and have that experience to discuss. And then, of course, thankfully, we are able to provide financial support as well. So all fellows will receive a $700 stipend for your participation and growth in the program. And then, of course, the nitty gritty, let's talk about the application process. So firstly, as I had mentioned before, it's very imperative that you are either an undergraduate or a graduate or even a postdoc at an Atlanta-based college or university. So the wider Atlanta metropolitan area, like Mercer or Spelman, Morehouse, those. And then as well as being able to demonstrate through your application that you have a passion for racial and health justice. And then some of the things that we will require in the application form is online. You have to add your resume or your CV, and we would also require you to submit either your unofficial or official transcript, whichever one is more accessible to you, as well as those short essay responses. And here I really want to emphasize this is where we get to know you a bit more about you than just your age or, where you're from or what school you go to, but really tell us who you are and like what health and racial equity justice means to you. And then some key dates that I want to discuss. As the applications have opened as of yesterday, you might have gotten an email from me about applications being open or even submitted already. Shout out to those early people. We will be reviewing them on a rolling basis. So for instance, let's say you get your application in this week, you might receive a notification about possibly moving to the next step, which would be interviews. And then we'll be doing those from like mid-June to early July. And then the application closes, of course, on Sunday, June 30th at 11 p.m. EST. If I didn't mention that, especially for the times previously, when I talked about the virtual sessions and the in-person sessions, all times are based on Atlanta, so Atlanta time zone, Eastern Standard Time. And then we will be sending everyone final decisions about if you're accepted to the cohort or not on Monday, July 15th. You'll begin a communication from me, and then we can launch and see your beautiful faces on Saturday, August 10th at 10 a.m. And then more details, of course, once you're accepted on the program, will be provided to you about the event in person. So I know I kind of went through that a little bit fast. trying to work on slowing down, but I did wanna leave quite a bit of time for us to do Q&A because I know sometimes we just present, 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 but then you have a million questions, and sometimes it's a lot easier to say them in person. So please feel free, to drop your questions in the chat, um, and we can work on answering them. I know I did receive one question from someone. I'm not sure if you're here today, as we're waiting for questions, if the dates were set, because I know some people have scheduling conflicts. The dates that we have now, especially because we're partnering with other people, they are set just so that we can give everyone enough time for planning. So if you're unable to make those dates, especially the in-persons, then this might not be the right time and place for the program for you. But please keep up to date with Black Health by following us on Instagram and keeping up with us on our website and things like that as we have more opportunities forthcoming. And then also in the chat is another link to the website that you might have received if you received an email from me, as well as the Black Health Cares website, program website that also includes a frequently asked questions guide as well. I think I have 2 questions. Trying to open that up now. I'm gonna stop sharing just for a second so I can see you all's questions. Hi, Mercy. Um, yes, Michaela, I can see your question. I'm sorry that it says the chat is disabled for you to respond. I think I just updated the setting. Let me know if that works, Michaela, or anyone else. So you can either put your questions in the Q&A option or directly into the chat. Awesome. Thank you so much for messaging me and let me know. Zoom can be a little bit wonky. I'll leave a few more moments for people to drop questions in the chat. Hi, Jordan. Your message says, hello, thank you for the opportunity and presentation. Thank you. I am intrigued by this program's objectives, and I'm interested in using this project as part of my fellowship requirement for school. If possible, would this project in total be at least 120 hours? I think that's a great question for our executive director. So please send me an email. I'm going to go ahead and drop my email in the chat so that we can discuss that being a potential opportunity. We just have to kind of discuss with your school and our program lead to see if that would be the right fit for you. Awesome, thank you. And if anyone else has that similar type of question, like can this be a practicum or something that I might need maybe in a master's or undergraduate program, please feel free to send me an email. I'm just gonna drop in the chat. I didn't mention it before, but if you are accepted into the program, you'll be primarily communicating with me. If you have like program questions, of course, for content things, you'll direct it to our content director, who will be introduced later once you're accepted. But any general questions around programs like stipends, things like that, you will be always directing to me. So definitely feel free to have my email saved to make sure it comes through in your inbox and not go to spam. We're gonna leave a few more minutes. We can wrap up questions around 7:18 if that's okay with everyone. And then, of course, I know sometimes I'm the type of person, I won't have a question in the meeting, but as I'm laying down to sleep, my brain is going at fire. I'm like, oh my God, I have this question. Please send me an email. I will respond to you as early as I can. So don't feel bad if you didn't remember or forgot to ask a question today. I'm always available to answer your questions as soon as possible. Yeah, absolutely, Michaela. I know sometimes you want to have a more thoughtful response, and I also want to have a more thoughtful answer. So definitely feel free to send me an email as well. And again, for those that may not be able to see the chat because maybe you're driving, my email is Desiree, DESIREE at Black Health, and so that's BLKHLTH.com. And for those of you reaching out, especially regarding if this opportunity can qualify for practicum hours, if you could also please CC your program director who would be over that practicum in that email so that we can talk, from lead to lead from our program to the program that you're in to see if that would be a possibility. Yes, that's a great question. I want to say I believe it's 30 and it's included in the
Yes.
application.
Yeah, it's 30 for our Atlanta cohort.
Mhm. So we have 30 available spots. I would love it if everyone here, if you put your best foot forward to see your faces later on in the program, but we will be accepting 30 people, which is quite a great size. So quite a few people to get to know from different institutions that maybe you don't get to network with and get to learn from. I know other schools sometimes have like cooler programs than the one I think I'm in, so I love to learn and glean free stuff from them, free resources and things like that. So a great size cohort for those type of networking opportunities. Okay. If we don't have any more questions, I just had one last slide to share with you all. Oh, and can you hit record again? Really? Okay. Sorry, y'all. So that was our Q&A. And then of course, I just wanted to provide our information one more time, or particularly mine, because I'm the program manager. So as I said before, especially as it applies to the application, interviews, and logistics of the program, I'm the best person to reach out to. But of course, if you end up at a different email for Black Health, we will all try to answer your question as promptly as possible and direct you to the correct person. So, as in closing, I want to say thank you all for taking the time in the middle of your day to come to this information session. I really look forward, and our team looks forward to reviewing your applications for this inaugural class. You will be the first cohort, first iteration of this program. So, really interested to see what you guys put in your application, and of course, what you guys eventually do out here in our communities of Atlanta. And then, as I said before, my name's Desiree Smith, or Dr. Desiree Smith, either is fine with me. And I'm the program manager here for the Black Health Cares program. And again, you can reach me at Desiree at blackhealth.com. No problem. Thank you, Michaela, for coming. Thank you, Sopraya.